What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. And man, today was a great day if you're an Xbox fan, but especially if you are a Gears of War fan, because we finally got the multiplayer reveal for Gears of War Eday, and man, does it look good. I tell you what, it does feel like Gears is finally starting to get back to its roots that kind of made people fall in love with the game. Almost 20 years, well, pretty much 20 years at this point, which is so crazy to think about around the launch of the Xbox 360, and just that those whole glory years of Gears 1, 2, 3, depending on how far you want to go with Judgment. And obviously not a lot of people were big fans of 4 and 5, and maybe those were a little overhated, but nonetheless, we are kind of getting back to those old school roots of what we're used to with Gears of War, but not just sticking to that, but also evolving from it and adding so much more to the game. And I'm going to dive into some of that stuff today that we learned in the deep. And also another cool thing, like just flat out what they said, and this was kind of like something they dropped towards the end of the video, was flat out just said no battle passes, no rotating shop items, no packs, no anything like that. Everything you can unlock is going to be unlockable through just playing the game, which I think is really cool. And the only things that you can just flat out buy is, I think everything of all those items can go straight to charity, which I think is pretty cool and pretty neat to see them doing that. And I'm really excited to see. It seems like they've really taken the time to make sure they're getting it right with this game, after just Gears honestly kind of going to the wayside for probably about a decade now, if you start to think about it. Obviously Gears of War 5 came out in around 2019, but it kind of soured on people relatively quickly. So the last time we could kind of think of the genre being like one of the big dogs in the industry, it has been quite a minute. So let's get into it. I'm going to start off with the first one here, and that is versus PvP, kind of everything that we've learned and getting back to competitive gear. So I'm going to say it flat out right now, I'm not the biggest PvP guy, so I'm not necessarily a novice to the game in terms of multiplayer, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I am a diehard Gears 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or Judgment, I should say, multiplayer and played competitively and stuff like that. I enjoy it. It's fun. I treat it very casually. I kind of roughly know the ins and outs, but I also haven't played it in a minute. So coming from that perspective, I will say it is really recapturing the magic of what we saw from Gears 1, 2, and 3, and kind of focusing more so on like map controls and power weapons, and kind of toning down the skill-based movement that we started to see towards the later end of the Gears, like wall bouncing and stuff like that. The modes that they've confirmed so far, there's going to be 4. We have Team Deathmatch, Conquest, but they're kind of adding a little bit of a twist to it, which is your traditional King of the Hill style, but instead of an interval based point like timer, it's going to be based on the amount of points that you capture, which I think is pretty cool. And it helps reward players for like getting those map controls, getting those point controls where, okay, you fight this whole time during a certain interval, but then you finally get control with the last 15 seconds. I think this helps the flow of things a lot better and stops preventing so much early rotations, because now you can go in there, capture the point, and just hold it down. And then once you hit a certain limit, and maybe I'm reading this wrong, maybe it's a team limit, maybe it's an overall amount of points that thing can capture, but nonetheless, I do think it's good, and I think it helps prevent maybe some like junk points going there, and it makes teams start to fight over every single point that you are capturing at that moment. But we'll see how that plays out as things go on. Like I said, I haven't necessarily played it myself, and from what I can gather and what I saw from the multiplayer footage from other content creators, I haven't necessarily seen too much detail on how that works. So I could be wrong in how that, I might be completely misunderstanding that. But the great thing is the open beta is coming out in 2 weeks, and that I am super pumped for that. So be on the lookout for content revolving around the open beta and everything surrounding Gears as well, and Xbox as a whole. So the other 2 modes are 2 new ones. It's going to do a search and destroy type mode. It is called Demolition, single life rounds. You have to plant a bomb. And then the other one is Crucible, which is like their brand new mode, which is kind of like a what was it in Halo, like the skull, I'm drawing a blank, but basically like one team has to hold the power core and defend that person, and then there's like a zone within there, and kind of the first one to get all the points wins. Oddball, that's the word. I couldn't remember the name, the game mode in Halo, but it seems like that kind of style of oddball, but its own little take. They really talked about a lot of the map designs here, like symmetrical designs being a key feature. They're talking about highly competitive, adding a ranked mode as well as a casual mode. And they, like I said, they really made it a point that they're going to help balance the movement. They're going to kind of help bridge the gap between the people that tended to use like these movement glitches to their advantage, where it's still there. And if you are a veteran player and you are a master of the game, you can still utilize those, but it's not going to be necessarily crucial for players to do that. Or if you're not doing that, it's not going to hold you back from like performing well in these games. So I think it's a good approach to take. I mean, you still kind of want to have that little bit of skill gap for players who have, or like I said, veterans of the game playing ranked, trying to get every little micro centimeter of like extra movement or speed or whatever it may be to compete at those high levels. But then also at the same time, it's not super reliant on being able to do that to have a good time. So I think that's a good approach to have, and kind of help giving a nod to some of those old veteran players who've been around and stuck around with the franchise for quite a while now. Now it's time to talk about the mode I am the most pumped for, and the thing that I played the most when it comes to Gears of War, and that is Horde mode. Horde mode I played a ton of, especially in Gears of War 3, a little bit of Gears 2, but I loved Gears of War 3 Horde mode, and I did play a little bit of 4 and 5. But they are bringing a brand new mode called Siege, which is this new scale co-op PvP, where instead of just 4 or 5 players in this Horde mode, it is 12 players, 3 teams of 4, all focused on their own objectives and their own goals, and then also being able to come up together to work on one massive goal or one massive enemy that's spawned in the middle of the thing, and all 12 people working together to help complete that mission. But I think what makes this really interesting is it's not just 12 players. Is that they're broken off into different things, trying to complete these different sections and all working together to help extract, which is really, really cool. It's kind of taking that Helldivers element to it, but then evolving it, making it their own, and doing something a little different with it. And I think what's really cool about it is that you can revive your own players by picking up dog tags and taking them to these like little areas where you can then revive them. Other squads can revive you. There's going to be shops and supply depots. So I think it's really cool how the interconnectedness of how this game mode is going to work, but also kind of like sticking to your own. And it doesn't seem like necessarily if you have one bad squad, it's going to hold you back. Now, granted, we're going to see how that shakes out. And when we enter this open beta and we start getting a lot of randoms and things like that, it seems like from all the content that we're seeing from content creators who had early access, it's a little hard to tell. So like I said, overall, they're going to be working together, trying to take on these world bosses that are happening and kind of like help each other as you kind of see you come around. Like maybe you see one team struggling and you happen to go to your other objective, and then you're like, okay, man, let's go help them out. Let's go clear this up. Let's go do this. And another thing too that they're adding to kind of help with the difficulty and bridge the gap between like veteran players and novice players is adding mission modifiers. Poisons are coming back. They're doing evasion events like mid game. So there's going to be a lot of randomness to the game that helps kind of add to the little bit of the dynamic gameplay that could happen every time you load in, which is really, really cool to see. Because one of the biggest things when it comes to these co-op shooters is trying to make them different and feel different every time you play, and it doesn't feel super repetitive. Because as these game modes start to evolve, you want to try to hold on to players. And one thing I think Helldivers has done a great job of is really evolving the gameplay and adding to it so you can actually have those great moments. So they talked about a lot about loadouts and classes. So you're going to be able to pick your specific loadout before you enter the game based on the whatever character that you have. You're also going to be having different loadouts as well. So you're going to have also modifiers to your weapons. So you have armor mods, weapon mods, gear mods, all kinds of different things. So it seems like they're really trying to help provide a mode that wants you to keep on playing and not just something fun that you can play on the side here or there. Not treat it so much like a mini game, but almost like its own game, which is really cool to see. They also talked about like trying to make the skill level as high as it possibly can with the PvE experience by adding different difficulties as well as different game lengths / mission types in this siege mode, because you're going to have like a short mode where you play like 10 to 12 minutes, then another that's 20 to 30 minutes, and then another that's like 50 minutes to 60 minutes, which is really cool to see. So if you just want to hunker down with your boys and try to get as much XP as you can, do the long one. If you want to be in and out, maybe you're playing like by yourself, but you still want to play some siege mode, which I think is really, really cool. Because one of the downsides to games like that is like, man, you're kind of invested in there for a while, but maybe if you have like an hour to play or whatever it may be, you can hop in 10 minutes, 12 minutes, be in and out in like 15 max. So I think that's really, really cool to see. Also, the last thing they talked about was the progression and content roadmap. They have 60 unique characters that they're saying is going to be available at launch. You're also, like I said earlier in the beginning of the video, everything is going to be earned solely by in-game progression, which is really, really cool to see, outside of a few things that are going to be pretty much all the money and all the revenue that comes from those are going to go straight to donations according to them. So hopefully they stick to their word when it comes to stuff like that. We'll see as time comes on. Like I said, overall, just no paywall, zero paywall when it comes to cosmetic progression. Also for seasonal support, they talked about 5 planned seasons. They're not going to do any sort of drip feed model of like giving a little bit of content like every other week. They're going to just do these big planned seasons, which are going to have substantial content drops according to them, which is going to be new maps, new modes, new characters and customizations. And it's all going to be completely free. And I imagine this is going to be happening across both versus as well as the horde mode section, and potentially even the campaign. I mean, a lot of people think of all that stuff and think of just the multiplayer aspect of it, but there could be a world where maybe they do some campaign expansions and kind of add to the game. So that's also not necessarily ruled out as well, even though they haven't blatantly said that, but that's something we can probably expect as we see time plays out. Another cool thing that they said was that with all these cosmetics and all these customization things, they're going to stay gritty and grounded to the actual world and making sure that these things fit within the Gears universe. Because we've all kind of had the complaints of like, man, why is the Turtles or why is the Invincibles like in Warzone? It's just Snoop Dogg and Nicki Minaj and whatever it may be. So it's really cool to see them like, hey, we're going to take this like Battlefield 6 approach, which was what they're doing as well. And like, we can make cool content and cool stuff that also stays within the lore of the game and not just completely taking you out of the immersion of what this game has to offer. So no neon weapon skins, no promotional crossovers, no generic IP partnerships. So it seems like I said, everything is going to belong in Sarah. I mean, I'm not necessarily, and maybe they shouldn't even say this is no promotional crossovers, because there could be potential things you could see crossover that fit, that makes sense. Like we saw this with ODST and Helldivers, like that fits so well. Like that was such a perfect blend. Or ODST and Killzone, or I meant to say Halo, not, Halo. I meant to say Helldivers and Killzone, which is really cool. And I think maybe you don't rule that out. Maybe you can help kind of promote these other things if it makes sense. You know, like if it makes sense in the world. And I think if you look at the blueprint of what Helldivers did, that fits perfectly. You could bring that over here and potentially do the same thing, and I'm sure people would love it. So to end it off here and to talk about some important dates, the open beta kicks off August 6th through the 10th, and that's for early access people. I believe you either have to have the game pre-ordered, which is obviously a must, but I think also too, if you're a Game Pass Ultimate member, you also get access to the early open beta. So we'll see there, but the full open beta for everybody is going to be the 13th through the 17th of August, which is really cool. And obviously we all know that the launch date of the game is going to be October 6th on Xbox Series X and PC. And like they keep on mentioning everywhere, it is a Xbox console exclusive, which is, if you're Xbox aficionado and you want Xbox to do well, it's probably a good thing to kind of hear. It looks like the only other thing it's going to be on is Steam. So yeah, overall, let me know what you guys think of everything that was announced in this Gears of War update and deep dive. I mean, to give my overall thoughts, I am super pumped about this. I'm so excited for the beta to come out. I'm most excited for the Horde Siege mode, to be honest with you, but also I plan on diving into versus, hopping in there. I haven't played and grinded Gears of War multiplayer in a hot minute, so I'm gonna hop in there with some buddies and see what we can do. I think the search mode sounds pretty sick. I'm probably gonna be a little rusty, and also we all know Gears has a unique gameplay style. It's not super transferable, so I might be a little rough at first, but I'm hoping to get in there. But definitely going to be trying hours and hours of Siege mode betas. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. And if you want to see more Xbox content, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.